Okay, let's start the Mangalacharan prayers and then we'll go into Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadate Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितां तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So let's get into the verse for today. I'll share my screen. Okay, so we are reading 3rd canto, 31st chapter, 17th verse. Let's go read the verse and then we will look into the explanation part a little bit. We'll try to explore. Okay. देह्यान्यदेहविवरे जठराग्निनाश्रेग विन्मूत्रकूपपतितो वृषतप्तदेहा इच्छान् इतो व्यवस्तुं गणयन् स्वमासान् निर्वास्यते कृपणधीर्भगवन् कदानु. One more time. देह्यन्य देहविवरे जठराग्निनाश्रेग विन्मूत्रकूपपतितो वृषतप्तदेहा इच्छान् इतो विवसितुं गणयन् स्वमासान् निर्वास्यते कृपणधीर्भगवन् कदानु. Let's go through word to word translation. Dehi, the embodied soul. Anya deha, of another body. Vivare, in the abdomen. Jathara, of the stomach. Agnina, by the fire. Ashrik, of blood. With stool. Mutra, and urine. Kupa, in a pool. Patita, fallen. Brisha, strongly. Tapta, scorched. Deha, in his body. Ichan, desiring. Itaha, from that place. Vivasitum, to get out. Ganayan, counting. Swamasan, his months. Nirvasyate, will be released. Kripanadhihi, person of miserly intelligence. Bhagavan, O Lord. Kada, when. No, indeed. Translation. Fallen into a pool of blood, stool, and urine within the abdomen of his mother, his own body scorched by the mother's gastric fire, the embodied soul, anxious to get out, counts his months and prays, O my Lord, when shall I, a wretched soul, be released from this confinement? Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The precarious condition of the living entity within the womb of his mother is described here. On one side of where the child is floating is the heat of gastric fire, and on the other side are urine, stool, blood, and discharges. After 7 months, the child who has gained his consciousness feels the horrible condition of his existence and prays to the Lord. Counting the months until his release, he becomes greatly anxious to get out of the confinement. The so-called civilized man does not take account of this horrible condition of life, and sometimes for the purpose of sense gratification, he tries to kill the child by methods of contraception or abortion. Unserious about the horrible condition in the womb, such persons continue in materialism, grossly misusing the chance of the human form of life. The word Kripanadhi is significant in this verse. Dhihi means intelligence and Kripana means miserly. Conditioned life is for persons who are of miserly intelligence or who do not properly utilize their intelligence. In the human form of life, the intelligence is developed, and one has to utilize the developed intelligence to get out of the cycle of birth and death. One who does not do so is a miser, just like a person who has immense wealth but does not utilize it, keeping it simply to see. A person who does not actually utilize his human intelligence to get out of the clutches of Maya, the cycle of birth and death, is accepted as miserly. The exact opposite of miserly is Udara, very magnanimous. A Brahmana is called Udara because he utilizes his human intelligence for spiritual realization. He uses that intelligence to preach Krishna consciousness for the benefit of the public, and therefore he is magnanimous. Okay. Dehyanya videhvare jataragni nashrik vinmutrakupa patito vrishatapta deha Ichanito vivstum ganayan swamasan nirvasyate kripanadhir Bhagavan kadanu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It was actually, even though we know a little bit about the suffering and all, but it was kind of, being a mother, it was kind of difficult for me to read this verse. But I think, sometimes it's eye-opening, and it is also giving the right perspective to kind of give the better direction for the future. So that's how I'm taking this verse as. So we are at third canto 31 chapter, where Lord Kapila is giving instructions on the movement of the living entities. So in the previous verses, we have seen how the jiva's entrance happens, growth, and how we slowly started seeing how the different stages of embryonic development, how the sufferings within the womb starts, and also how the worm bites, how eating wrong food by the mother um, makes the child suffer. And also, then if the soul, once it gains consciousness, how now it is starting to look to pray to the lordships, to take shelter of him, although he is a. So we are getting into the concept where aspect of where the prayers by the devotee jiva within the womb. So and this verse actually um, gave also a lot of appreciation for me personally following Krishna consciousness, because in the purport, how in the translation, when I read, fallen into a pool of blood, stool, and urine within the abdomen of his mother, his own body scorched by the mother's gastric fire. The soul prays, that's embodied soul prays, "Oh my Lord, when shall I get out of this confinement?" So such is the status. And here it is clearly mentioned, when that embodied soul reaches 7 months of its stay in the womb, it regains its consciousness. So it regains its consciousness and starts feeling the horrible condition of his existence. So and then and there are few topics that are touched upon here. How for sense gratification people conceive children, and then some people take it as a mistake, and the different methods they follow in order, just for sense enjoyment, or if a mishap happens, how they try to take care of it. That aspect is also discussed. And also how a Krishna conscious person can help in getting in utilizing the human form of life properly, is by mm, giving an opportunity for a human to give a birth to a human form, and help them do their journey to realize what is their constitutional position. So personally, when I'll probably share a personal experience here. So when I was carrying my children, so when I seek guidance how a mother should be, so the greatest suggestion or greatest instruction that I received was to read about read spiritual content, and try to read Bhagavatam. That I try to read, try to hear Guru Maharaj lectures, or any sadhu, any senior devotees lectures, because it shaped my consciousness. And it also, like, we have great examples like Prahlad Maharaj, even though being in a place where it was completely in an adverse situation, hearing Lord's pastimes, being within the womb, made him the greatest devotee. So similarly, following the same footsteps, we're also should be appreciating, or should be so grateful that we are in Krishna consciousness, because of that, I was able to get the instruction when I was carrying my children to read Bhagavatam, especially in a 10th canto, and reading Krishna's pastimes, which are also create a lot of happiness as a uh, by reading them, because they are full of Krishna's leelas, and also giving and reading that loud, so that the child within the womb can hear them, and pray to the Lord. Like how this embodied soul is praying here. Help them remember the Lord more, so that they can get when they come out, they can utilize their human form of life in a much better fashion than and of not having knowledge of what the human form of life is for. Because I mean, it's a happy thing to have, but here it is clearly mentioned, unless we have an understanding of why we are giving birth to a child, we are just causing nothing but a trouble to the society. When we have a clear understanding as a human being, when before giving birth to children, um, you know, um, it will like it will deliver us as being a parent, because we are giving another person. We are just, as Krishna says, we are just the caretakers. So uh, we will get an opportunity to help a soul to be delivered. At the same time, through that process, we educate ourselves to about Krishna, about the Lord's, and improve our life as well. And there was one more thing which was very interesting. Kripanadi. And this word was like intelligence, using the intelligence miserly. It was very interesting. We do this in several forms, whether it is money, whether it is our in different forms of intelligence. Um, like putting the things in the right place, utilizing things in the right place, using our mind and intelligence in the right place, in at every aspect of life. So if we don't utilize that, it becomes miserly. There is no use. For example, our energy, when we are young and energetic, if we don't utilize that energy and our efforts in Krishna consciousness or in God related activities, we will for sure utilize it somewhere else. There is never that we will let it go, because it's there. So this was very interesting. I was doing a retrospective of what I was before, and then seeing what probably many of us might have experienced. Some might be lucky enough not to do those things. Before becoming, I'm not only going to say Krishna, but God conscious. Before becoming that, we would probably party, or we would probably watch movies until do something to exert our energies, and then are we benefited out of it? No. Some people might have a hangover, some people might have just be feeling wasted, and some people are just lethargic because they overutilized their energy. So, but when we utilize in the right direction, probably studied something, or studied something, or try to learn something, or try to learn something new, you'll feel so much accomplished. You'll feel like you have developed your credits. And so what to speak when you use that intelligence of your when you use your brain in understanding Krishna. So it's like a forever credit that we develop. And those who don't utilize their intelligence in the direction, very miserly. We see so many people who have a lot of money, who have a lot of comforts, luxuries, everything, but they will have something in their life, if they that is a source of misery, even though in spite of having all the other worldly possible things at their footstep. So then the life is not really, doesn't become a udara, magnanimous. Some people don't even have a penny, but their life is magnanimous because they only utilize their intelligence properly and at the right place. So those the opposite words of Kripanadhi and Udara is very interesting. Who at that point of time, within their capacity, how they utilize their intelligence makes them either Udara or Kripanadhi. So so it was very um, eye-opening thing, because at every single point of step, probably in our life, every single action that we do, we can we can see ourselves in which bucket we are putting ourselves in. So that way, we have a checkpoint. They say that every day, at end of the day, we can do a little bit of a introspection check. which will help us to have a better next day, or a better Krishna conscious day next day, or better life next day. So these kind of tools, I felt, will definitely help when we do the introspection at the end of the day. What did we do better today? What did we do to better ourselves, to better the people around us, and to better our Krishna consciousness for today? So if we we can see, hey, how better we have utilized our intelligence today, how better we were able to utilize our energies today. So that can make us either in how many, we can probably have a count how many times we have become an Udara, or how many times we have become a Kripanadi. So that really gave me a pointer, and I'm trying to share that with you, so that it probably can help at least somebody who's looking to do that introspection end of the day. It also talked about the precarious condition, and so it kind of, and also I was before knowing a little bit about Bhagavatam, I used to say only the doctors know, or only the science knows. I'm coming back to the same point from my last class, where people think that, the discovering part. So science discovers, Bhagavatam states. So here Bhagavatam is stating, when the child regains, and when the soul here, the embodied soul regains consciousness in the womb, which is at 7 months, and also how the living conditions are. Now we're doing different kinds of scans, and then determining how the status of the what is inside. We discovered much later, but Bhagavatam states here. So we can see the level of and depth of knowledge in this. So people who say that it's a myth, or it's a how do we believe in these books that you say that it has knowledge? It's quite obvious to understand. It's quite obvious to see how much depth of knowledge is there here. So you don't need to reject science, but you have to accept Bhagavatam and accept Shastras as the most prominent ones, and everything else that comes in the modern era is nothing but a discovering of those that are already there. That was, and and this whole chapter actually, explains the whole, from the conception to the coming out, the whole process, and how, if we read this before, as parents, if we read this, we actually will know what to do, what not to do, and even before conceiving the child, how to prepare ourselves to become a parent, if we, so that soul is delivered. And one last point I've seen a slight touch is on Brahmana. Why Brahmana is called Udara. If I remember the olden days, Brahmana used to probably, my childhood memory is Brahmana being Brahmana is had a very simplistic life. His only purpose is to give knowledge about God, about Krishna, and talk about Krishna, and take the alms whatever is given. Never complain, and everything is taken as the benefit. Whatever is received is the mercy of the Lord. So any person who follows that, because any person who follows he utilizes the human intelligence for spiritual realization, and preaches the Krishna consciousness, for the benefit. For there is no other benefit, self-benefit, but for the benefit of the public. That kind of a person is called a Brahmana. Therefore, he is a magnanimous, because he doesn't keep anything for himself. He acquires knowledge about the Lord, and he tries to pass it to as many people as possible in his capacity. Such a person is called Brahmana. So those are few things that I was able to see in this verse. If anybody has any comments or any add-ons, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes,
You
Prabhu.
made nice statements, right? I mean, one is that how this literature will help us to introspect, right? I mean, to deeply understand what is going on around us and then within us. And then the second thing, I was kind of liking Bhagavatam states, and then the science discovers, right? I mean, the what is the last one you said just a few minutes ago? Yeah, it helps us to what to do, what not to do. I mean, having from the conceiving perspective, we are talking about art, even from the life perspective also. So, thank you, Mataji. It was nice to hear from you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. Okay. If there is no further discussion or comments, we can close the call. Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful and Krishna conscious day. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Please end it, Mataji. You are the host.
Yes, I'm doing.